I've been a forest ranger for 23 years. I've seen bears, mountain lions, flash floods, wildfires. I've rescued lost hikers and recovered bodies. But nothing in my training prepared me for what happened last autumn in the northern section of Blackwood National Forest. It started with the whistling. The first reports came from hikers, a strange melodic whistling deep in the woods, always just out of sight. Most dismissed it as birds or wind through the hollow trees. But when 3 experienced backpackers went missing in the same area within a month, we had to investigate. I remember the day I first heard it. October 17th. The leaves were turning, painting the forest in shades of amber and crimson. The air had that crisp quality that comes with autumn in the mountains. I was mapping a new trail with my patrol buddy, Dave, when the sound drifted through the trees, a perfect, human-like whistle. 3 notes, rising in pitch, then 4, descending. "You hear that?" I asked Dave. He nodded, already scanning the tree line. "Sounds close." We called out, thinking it might be hikers. No response, just that same whistling pattern, now coming from a different direction. We followed the sound for nearly an hour, but it always seemed to be just ahead of us, or behind us, or to our left or right, never where we were looking. As the sun began to set, the whistling stopped. We made camp, uneasy, but telling ourselves it was probably just kids messing around. That night, I dreamed of walking through an endless forest. The trees grew closer together the further I went, their branches intertwining overhead until no sky was visible. And always, that whistling guiding me deeper. I woke at dawn to find Dave already packing up. "We need to go," he said, his voice tight. "Now." "What's wrong?" He pointed to the ground around our campsite. Footprints circled our tent, dozens of them, all the same size, as if someone had walked around and around us all night. But the strange part? They weren't human footprints. They were too narrow, too long, with what looked like only 3 toes. We radioed for backup and spent the day photographing the prints and searching the area. Found nothing except more prints, always leading deeper into the uncharted section of the forest. The next day, a search team arrived, 5 rangers and 2 tracking dogs. The dogs were agitated from the moment they arrived, whining and pulling at their leashes. When we tried to get them to follow the strange footprints, they refused, tails tucked between their legs. We split into teams. Dave and I took the northeastern quadrant with one of the dogs. By midday, we'd found nothing. Then, the whistling started again. This time, it was different, more insistent, almost like it was calling to us. The dog went berserk, barking and straining toward the sound. Before we could stop him, he broke free, bolting into the dense underbrush. We chased after him, calling his name. We found his collar an hour later, next to a clearing we'd never seen before. A perfect circle of treeless ground, maybe 30 feet across, covered in soft moss. In the center stood a single ancient oak tree. Its trunk was massive, gnarled with age, but completely hollow, a dark opening like a doorway facing east. And carved into the bark, hundreds of small symbols. Not modern graffiti, these looked old, very old. Some resembled stick figures, others spirals and concentric circles. Many showed what appeared to be people following a tall, thin figure into a tree. The whistling was coming from inside the hollow trunk. Dave wanted to call the others. I agreed, but something pulled at me. A compulsion to look inside the tree, to see what was making that sound. Just a quick peek, I told myself. I approached slowly, flashlight in hand. The opening in the trunk was larger than it had appeared from a distance, easily big enough for a person to walk through upright. The whistling grew louder, more melodic, almost beautiful. I shined my light inside. The hollow extended far deeper than should have been possible, the beam of my flashlight insufficient to reach the back. But what I could see made no sense. Instead of the inside of a tree trunk, I saw what looked like a tunnel, with smooth walls that glistened with moisture. And along those walls, more of those strange symbols, glowing faintly with a greenish phosphorescence. "Do you see anything?" Dave called from behind me. I was about to answer when I saw movement in the darkness beyond my flashlight's reach. Something tall and thin swaying slightly. The whistling stopped. Then it spoke. Not in words, exactly. More like impressions forming directly in my mind. Images of walking into the tunnel, of following the entity deeper into the earth to a place of wonder and knowledge. A place where time moved differently, where I could learn secrets no human had ever known. I felt my foot lift, ready to step inside. Dave's hand clamped down on my shoulder, yanking me backward. "Mark, what the hell are you doing?" I blinked, disoriented. I'd been halfway through the opening without even realizing I was moving. The whistling had stopped. "We need to go," Dave said, his voice shaking. "Now." We backed away from the tree, neither of us willing to turn our backs on it. As we reached the edge of the clearing, the whistling began again, angry now, a shrill, discordant sound that made my teeth ache. We ran. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Two experienced forest rangers with over 40 years of combined wilderness experience between us, and we ran like scared children. When we reached the others and told them what we'd found, they were skeptical, but they agreed to follow us back to the clearing. Except we couldn't find it again. We searched for hours using GPS coordinates, compasses, detailed maps. Nothing. No clearing, no hollow tree. The other rangers started giving us looks, clearly thinking we'd imagined it or were playing some kind of prank. That night at base camp, Dave disappeared. I woke at 2 a.m. to the sound of whistling outside my tent. By the time I got my boots on and grabbed my flashlight, all I saw was Dave's back, walking into the tree line. I called to him, but he didn't turn around, just kept walking, his movements stiff and unnatural. I followed, of course. What else could I do? He was my partner, my friend. The whistling led us on a winding path through the darkened forest, always just ahead. After what seemed like hours, we emerged into the clearing again. The hollow tree waited, its opening now resembling a mouth in the dim moonlight. Dave walked toward it without hesitation. "Dave, stop!" I shouted, running after him. He turned, and in the beam of my flashlight, I saw his face. His eyes were completely black, like polished obsidian. His mouth hung open slightly, and when he spoke, his voice had a strange, echoing quality. "It's beautiful in here, Mark," he said. "You should come see. It wants to show us things, wonderful things." He turned and walked into the hollow trunk, disappearing into the darkness. I stood frozen, torn between following my friend and running for help. Before I could decide, something emerged from the tree. Not Dave, something else. It was tall, at least 7 feet, and impossibly thin, like a shadow stretched by the setting sun. Its limbs were too long, too jointed, moving in ways that human limbs shouldn't be able to move. Its face. I still have nightmares about its face. No features except for a wide, dark opening where a mouth should be. It whistled. That same 3-note rising pattern, 4-note descent. Then it extended one long 3-fingered hand toward me, beckoning. I ran. I'm not proud of it, but I ran, leaving Dave behind. I crashed through the forest blindly, branches whipping my face, roots catching my feet. Behind me, the whistling grew fainter, then stopped altogether. When morning came, I led the search team back, determined to find the clearing again. This time, we did. But it was different. The moss was brown and dead, the symbols on the tree faded. The opening in the trunk was gone, sealed over as if it had never existed. We searched for Dave for 2 weeks, found nothing, no body, no equipment, no trace. The official report lists him as missing, presumed dead, probably fallen into a ravine or attacked by a mountain lion, they said. The footprints, the hollow tree, the entity, all dismissed as stress-induced hallucinations or an elaborate hoax. They closed that section of the forest to hikers. Too dangerous, they said. Unstable terrain. I quit the ranger service a month later. Couldn't bear to go back into those woods. But sometimes, on autumn nights when the wind blows just right, I hear it. That 3-note rising, 4-note falling whistle. Coming from the trees behind my house, calling me. Last week, I found footprints in my garden, three-toed, narrow, deep. And I've started having the dreams again, walking through an endless forest, the trees growing closer together, branches intertwining overhead until no sky's visible. I wake up whistling. I'm writing this down because I need someone to know what really happened. What's still happening? I've started sleepwalking. My wife says I get up in the middle of the night and stand at the window, looking toward the forest, whistling that same pattern, over and over. Last night, I woke up outside, at the edge of the trees. I don't remember getting there. I think it's patient. It's waited this long. It can wait a little longer. But sooner or later, I'll go back to that clearing, back to that hollow tree. And this time, I'll step inside. Because now I understand what Dave meant. I can feel it in my dreams. The wonder, the knowledge, the secrets. A place where time moves differently, where the boundaries between worlds grow thin. So if you're ever hiking in Blackwood National Forest and you hear whistling, 3 notes rising, 4 descending, don't follow it. Don't even acknowledge it. Just turn around and walk the other way. Run if you have to. And if you see a tall, thin figure watching you from between the trees, or find a perfect circular clearing with a hollow oak at its center, well, then it's probably already too late. It knows you've heard its call, and sooner or later you'll answer. The above account was found on the laptop of Mark Chambers, former senior ranger at Blackwood National Forest. Chambers was reported missing by his wife on November 12, 2024, after he failed to return from what he described as a quick walk near their rural home. Despite extensive search efforts, no trace of him has ever been found. Blackwood National Forest remains open to the public, though the northern section is still restricted due to what forestry officials describe as unstable geological conditions. Hikers occasionally report hearing strange whistling sounds in the restricted area, but these reports are generally attributed to wind through the hollow trees that grow in abundance throughout the region. In a curious footnote to this case, 6 months after Chambers' disappearance, a search and rescue team found a hollow oak tree in the northern section that matched the description in his account. Inside the trunk, carved into the wood with what appeared to be a knife, were 2 sets of initials, DC and MC, along with a crude drawing of what looked like a tall, thin figure with 3-fingered hands. The tree was scheduled to be examined by forestry scientists, but a sudden wildfire swept through the area the night before their arrival. When the flames subsided, the tree was gone, reduced to ash, according to the official report. But the most disturbing detail came from Chambers' widow, who reported that on the 1-year anniversary of his disappearance, she awoke at 2 a.m. to the sound of whistling outside her bedroom window, 3 notes rising, 4 descending. When she looked outside, she saw nothing, but in the soft dirt of her garden were footprints, 3-toed, narrow, deep. She sold the house the following week. The new owners have reported no unusual occurrences, though they did mention that on quiet autumn nights, when the wind blows just right, the trees behind the property seem to whistle a peculiar, almost melodic pattern. 3 notes rising, 4 descending.